Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Hot Girl Guide podcast. Hello, I'm back. I'm putting on my best show. And you might be watching this right now. This podcast is not only in your ears today, but it is on your screens. Hi. Oh, this feels weird. I feel like I'm mixing two worlds. Welcome back to the Hot Girl Guide podcast. And just quickly, I always said I'm just gonna do my podcast on my bed and I'm not gonna film it, and someday I'm gonna get a big massive studio and then I'll film it. But we all know, to make a big massive studio happen, I need to let the universe know that I want to film my podcast. So I have to start somewhere, and we're starting with my bedroom, on my bed right now. So we are chilling, and it's kind of fitting because today is 11/11 and it is almost 11/11 on 11/11, and today is a day for manifesting. A lot of people are going to say today, oh my god, 11/11, there's a portal today, it's a great day for manifesting. Okay, and they're not wrong, but it is a great day for manifesting. Only if you know how to manifest, besties. Do you know what I mean? Because when it comes to manifesting, there is so many different layers that I think, are subject to nuance. Because if I'm making a 15-second TikTok about manifesting, I can't add in all of the nuance. And sometimes we have to apply nuance in our brains ourselves. Like sometimes we have to apply the nuance where someone else can't, because it's not the creator's fault that our attention span is 15 seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like if someone added in all the nuance to a video, we wouldn't watch it because we want to watch videos that are a few seconds long. But today I'm going to give you all the nuance on manifesting and how to kind of really make it work for you in your life and what it means, what to do. And I'm going to explain it in a way that really, I hope, resonates with you and makes sense. So yeah, welcome back to the pod and welcome to the first video episode. Hello. I'm wearing the Hot Girl merch. So this week, right, before we get into the pod of manifesting, and don't worry, I'm going to give you so much juicy information that it is worth sticking around. So just let me promote myself for a second, okay? I'm not promoting anyone else. I'm promoting one thing and one thing only in this podcast. So don't worry, there will not be ads in the middle of a podcast, because as a listener, if there is an ad in the middle of a podcast, I just skip through. So for any advertisers out there, if you want to advertise on people's podcasts, don't request a middle advertisement, because I will skip through, because it breaks up the conversation. Like at the start, at the end, stunning. In the middle, absolutely horrendous. Like the worst place for an ad is the middle of a podcast. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I'm chatty today. I'm happy. I'm chatty. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be on your screens. Anyways, so I launched the Hot Girl merch this week. If you are watching, you can probably see I'm wearing the crew neck. I'm wearing the Hot Girl Energy crew. Now, what I love about, oh my God, the mic, I keep forgetting that the mic needs to be near to my mouth, but I speak loudly. But I'm wearing the Hot Girl Energy crew, and the best thing about the Hot Girl Energy crew is it's subtle, because I know maybe some people are like, I don't want the word Hot Girl Energy like in everyone's face. I'm not there in my confidence journey yet. So it's actually black on black. So it's black embroidered on black. I'll put like a proper picture on the screen so you can kind of see it. It's really cute. So I'm wearing that, and you will be able to shop the Hot Girl merch on thehotgirlguide.com. And that is the only ad in this podcast. So if you want to support your girl, if you want to support ethically made hoodies and crew necks that are really cute and that are 100% designed and sourced and sampled and made by me, and I'm a Taurus, besties, I would not put you wrong. I'm not going to sell you some crusty musty hoodies. Do you know what I mean? And they're ethically sourced. I can see who makes them. We're not about that sheen energy. Do you know what I mean? And I think my issue with hoodie and crew necks is, for so long I was like, I want a cute hoodie or a crew neck. realistically, I want one that's going to last. You know, that would be stunning. I don't want one that's going to go to shit after 3 washes. All the cute hoodies and crew necks that I was finding were on all these fast fashion websites. Okay. And I'm not shaming any of the girlies that, you know, you do you. But me personally, my choice that I wanted to make in my life was to try to do it less, you know, to try and shop on those websites less. We all know the websites. I don't need to name them. I really don't need to name them at this point. But it was either that or extremely high-end brands. And I wanted to do something for the girl. Like, I don't want a Nike hoodie or an Adidas hoodie. Like, I don't want big logos. Like, I am not a walking advertisement for your brand. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'll do a logo. Sometimes I'll do a Louis Vuitton bag if I have to. Who do I think I am? Sometimes I'll do Louis Vuitton if I'm feeling like promoting them that day. I'm full of shit. So I wanted cute hoodies that were ethically made in Europe, and I did it. So if you want to support your girly, thehotgirlguide.com. Back to the subject matter of the pod. Manifesting. Who's going to manifest their best life? Who's going to create their reality? All you have to do is think it and feel it, and it comes true. Does it? Does it though? Do you know, like, does it? Because I know some of you have been thinking and feeling things and you're like, bestie, my life's getting worse. I'm manifesting the shit out of my life and it is going downhill fast. What is going on? So this is the thing with manifesting. The first point I'm going to touch on is probably the most important point for me to touch on. Privilege. We all have, if you are watching this on a laptop right now, you have a level of privilege. Do you know what I mean? We all have it. It comes in different shapes, forms and sizes. Us girlies, us Caucasian girlies have the most of it. You know, that's common sense. And sometimes when we are looking at other people who have manifested their life, there is an element of privilege that comes into play, because even though they might have created their reality and even though they might have called things into their timeline that they had on their vision board or whatever, their level of privilege put them in a place, a location, a tax bracket that allowed that to happen. Okay? And that is the first thing I want to touch on when it comes to manifesting. There is always privilege involved, right? That doesn't mean manifesting isn't real. That doesn't mean if you don't have privilege that you can't manifest. But we just have to be aware, right? When it comes to manifesting, the main thing that you should never, ever, ever do is look at someone else's life, everything they have, everything they've created, everything they're doing, and be like, I want what they have, so I'm going to manifest via their vision and inspiration and dream in life, right? You don't want to do that, because the reason, and we're getting straight into it, I'm not holding back in this one, the reason that a lot of people cannot manifest or bring into their life what they want, or create their reality, or whatever you want to call it, the reason a lot of people can't do that is because they are so focused on what other people have and other people's timelines. And I'm going to explain this a bit more to make it make sense. And this is just an analogy that I like to use. I have never once, right? Me, Rebecca Short, I have never once desired to run a marathon. It just hasn't been something that's been on my agenda. It just hasn't. I've never been drawn. I've never been energetically pulled to the marathon life, to the running life. Do you know what I mean? That's something I have never desired in my life. So if I'm trying to pull that in, that's not going to happen, because that is not an innate desire in my life. Someone else might be, you know, driving a Range Rover, going to Bali, going on all these holidays, doing all these things, living this life. And you might see them and be slightly jealous of that, because you're like, I really want to live that life. And you try to manifest that. But bestie, you're focusing on someone else, and you're not focusing on really asking yourself, who am I and what do I want, right? Because the key to manifesting is pulling in what you desire from a timeline, your timeline, where it already exists. So now we're in the quantum field. So the quantum field has layers, and many men, many people, I'm not 100% sure, I should have done my research, but I didn't, who have won the Nobel Prize this year, have won it for their theories on the quantum fields. And you can look into this more if you want, but essentially the idea that they're like, time is not linear, the way that we think of time is actually not how time is, and that everything exists on different quantum fields, and that is how people manifest. Because basically on a different, I'm trying to explain this as easily as possible, but on a different, okay, for me, an example, in a different quantum field right now, I have a YouTube channel and a brand that is absolutely thriving, that is absolutely selling out. I have such an online community, and I'm living in Australia, right? In one of my layers, that already exists. How do I know that? Because that is something that I deeply desire. So your desires have to match up to what is already on your quantum field, so you can pull, right? You can pull that apartment in that you want, because in some quantum field you're already living in it. You can pull winning that radio competition in. You can pull something so simple as a scone in, because it already exists in a different quantum field. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Rebecca, how the hell do I know what's on my other quantum fields so that I can pull them in? So that I can make it happen, so that I can actually manifest? Because I have been trying and it's not happening. Right. So we're going to start from the very beginning. Let's start from the very beginning. A very good place to start. I am a singer on a different quantum field. I just want to get that clear right now. Anyway, so you're like, Rebecca, how do I know what is on my other quantum field so that I know what to manifest? And this is where we're analyzing too much. Okay? You have to feel it. When you were born, when you were growing up as a child, you probably had some dream or desire that you were told is extremely unrealistic. For me, it was being a famous Hollywood actress. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be on the movies. I wanted to live in LA. I wanted to move to California and that was my dream. Like if I go back to my earliest days, what do you want to be when you grow up? That was it. In some reality, maybe that has happened for me. Do you know what I mean? Because that is my deepest desires before the world told me what's realistic and what's not. That was one of my very early desires. So if you think back, and you can meditate on this, you can journal this, you can even just have this idea in your head now that maybe you've never thought of before. What were your desires to do with your life before you were told they wouldn't happen? Maybe your desires were as simple as, always living close to your parents, or maybe your desires were as simple as always being a mom, or getting married young, or, they can be a plethora of things. Being a teacher, being a nurse, being a ballet dancer, being a scientist, going to space, traveling the world. I don't have to tell you what your desires are. You probably know. So you want to go back to that and be like, okay, if anything was realistic for me right now, what would I want to do? What would I really want to do? Not what would I scroll on Instagram, see other people doing, and then want to do? Do you see the difference? If you're constantly trying to pull from a different field, you're not going to pull it in. Because that's not what you think you want that life, but do you want that life? That is what you have to ask yourself. That is the first step to manifesting. Now we're moving on to the idea of things being realistic. Who made up that theory? Can we actually, well, I know who it was. It was probably the patriarchy and capitalism, realistically, lol. Who made up the theory of what is realistic and what is not? Because there are a lot of people living unrealistic lives right now. that when they were younger, the life they're living was unrealistic for them. Do you know what I mean? Everything is unrealistic until it's not. I'm going to repeat that for emphasis. Everything in life is unrealistic until it's not. Until it happens, then it's realistic for you because you've already achieved it, you know? Like me earning €100,000 next month is unrealistic. Someone might turn around to me and be like, sure, you'd never earn that in a month. But then when I do it, that is realistic because that's my reality. Me flying to Morocco tomorrow on a whim might be viewed as unrealistic. But then if I do it, it's realistic. Me making my own hoodies and selling them online and creating my website and doing all the back end and doing everything myself is unrealistic until it's not. Flying was unrealistic until, they got the wings and they flew too close to the sun. It happened. Driving was unrealistic. The light bulb, Thomas Edison, everything is unrealistic until it's not. Do you know what I mean? So if anyone ever tells you what you are dreaming of is unrealistic again, don't listen. And I just want you to say this to them because I think it's very important. Say, everything's unrealistic until it's not. And just leave it. Mic drop. I'm not going to drop this mic because I wouldn't do that to your ears. So everything's unrealistic till it's not. So the first thing you have to know is it has to be your desire. It has to be something that you're trying to pull in from your timeline. The second thing you have to know is everything's unrealistic till it's not. Now the third thing is very important. It is what I can't rank these on levels of important because they're all as important as each other. If you do not believe that you can have whatever thing or life or situation it is that you are trying to manifest or call into your life, it's not going to happen. If you are writing in your journal, this time next year, I will be living in Australia with a pet dog called Fufu and a girlfriend that loves me, and I'm going to have sea views, yada, 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 whatever you're trying to manifest. If you write that down and then you're like, I wish that'll never happen. Jesus, I'll sooner win the lotto before that happens. I'd sooner do that now. I'd win an argument before I'd win that lifestyle, right? If you turn around, of course, you're blocking yourself, okay? And a lot of the times with manifestation, you block yourself. Now, the ways in which you block yourself are, why hasn't it happened yet? I have been thinking about this for so long. My manifesting isn't working. That'll never happen for me. I don't live that kind of life. It's unrealistic, whatever. And I just want to tell you this very important statement. And that is, if you think any of those things, it's never going to happen because you have to be so delusional. And I use the word delusional because that is the only way to actually explain how you have to be when you're manifesting to like a person who maybe thinks they can't get something or something's not happening. You have to adopt this mindset of like, everything I need, I already have. And everything I have is all that I need, right? That is what you have to say. Everything that I need, I already have. Everything that I have is all that I need. You know the TikTok anyway. And you have to trust that whatever happens and whatever is going to happen and whatever you want to happen is going to happen at the exact moment that it is supposed to, and not a second later and not a second earlier. So if you're sitting there being like, I could take me for an example right now. I moved home from Marbella around this time last year, October last year, and my plan was to move back to Marbella in January and then move to Australia when it opened. And I am still here in my bedroom. Woo! One person could look at that and say, she's not good at manifesting. She wanted to move to Marbella. She wanted to move to Australia. She wants all these things. And look at her. She's sitting in her bedroom and nothing's happening. And those people are wrong. Because I 100,000,000% believe 2022 was my at-home era. Okay? 2022 was the year that I was supposed to spend at home to build certain connections in my life. There are people that I have met this year that I would not have met had I not been where I am right now. Had I not been in my hometown, I would not have met certain people. I would not have built certain relationships. I would not have grown certain relationships in my life with my family, with my brother. My brother's 21. He is 7 years younger than me. So, you know, when I was living at home last, he was a lot younger and less mature, whereas now he's 21 and I'm 28. It's a really good, like, ages for us to, like, get each other more and get on more, because he is not like a little baby anymore. Does that make sense? He's like an elevated version of himself. It's great. We love to see it. And we just get on so well. And I wouldn't have had that if I wasn't here. If I went to Marbella and then I went to Australia, I might have never had this consistent year at home with him. Do you know what I mean? So I completely trust that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be right now. Obviously, some days, especially coming up to your period, you know how it is, besties. You're like, oh, what am I doing? I wanted to do all these things. Nothing's happening. But Rebecca, you're exactly where you're meant to be, and you know you are. And you have to tell yourself these things. And even if things are going down the drain faster, you can be like, there is some lesson that I'm supposed to learn here that is going to take me to where I need to be, or where I want to be, or where I desire to be. You have no idea how many things, everything happens for you. Everything in life, right? And I know there is tragedy in life, and I know there are things that happen in life that are unfair, but your soul is here to have a certain experience, and to make that experience happen, and to make the lessons that you need to learn happen, and to make everything, to make you who you need to be. It's all here to be experienced, and it's all, you just have to trust is such a big thing. Trust in your timing, trust in the timing. And if you look outside for 1 second and look at someone your age who, oh, she did this and I'm doing nothing, and this person bought a house, and this person's getting married, and this person's doing all the things that society says I should do by age 28. Do you know what I mean? If you're watching the podcast, you saw what I did there. If you didn't see what I did, go to youtube.com, the Hot Girl Guide podcast, and watch. Being filmed podcasting right now is hilarious to me. Anyways, because I feel like podcasting is like I'm in myself, but you're watching me. Anyway, if you look outside for a second and compare, Kim Kardashian is 42. And if you were comparing, and you know, everyone knows what status Kim Kardashian is at in her life right now. Love her, hate her, indifferent about her, don't care about her. You know her name, and you know her success, okay? You know her name, and you know the level of success she has had. If you looked at her when she was 28, she was, I think, still Paris Hilton's assistant. She started like wardrobe organizing for Paris Hilton when she was 25. So all of my besties under 25, do you know what I mean? Like, when you compare, you're comparing yourself to timelines that aren't yours, and you're robbing yourself of the idea of the life that you could have by constantly comparing your timeline to people's timelines that is not yours anyway. And realistically, you probably wouldn't want their life if you could even have it. By comparing yourself to those timelines instead of being like, okay, this is my timeline, this is my life. Do you know what I mean? And also, in astrology, if you get success after the age of, it's after your Saturn return, so like the age of like 27 to 30, if you start your success then, as opposed to like really, really young, it's actually more sustainable. Whereas if you get really successful really young, and this is why we see a lot of child stars and teenage stars and, you know, people who get massive success in their early 20s, it's not sustainable. That's why it's all to do with astrology. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry, I'm bringing a lot of different topics in. The main thing is you do not look at anyone else's timelines, and you trust your timeline, and you believe in yourself, and you believe in what you're trying to create. Because if you don't believe in what you are trying to create, it is not going to happen. It is absolutely not going to happen. Because how can it? You don't even believe it's going to happen. If you don't believe it's going to happen, who's believing for you? Because let me tell you a secret. If you don't believe in yourself and your timeline, who's going to do it for you? Who is going to create it for you? Do you know what I mean? So that is the next point of nuance around manifesting, right? I was going to recap on everything I've talked about so far, but I can't. But you know what I said. The next point is manifesting versus hard work. So a lot of people would say, did she manifest that, or did she just work hard for it, or did they, or whoever? They're things that happen very much so in tandem, because I can't sit here on my bed and, lie back and think, what life do I want to live today? Today, I want to create and live this certain life, right? And I'm sitting back on my bed. I'm like, okay. And I write it all down, and I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen. And then I don't change anything. I just go back to the life I was living. And then I just go back to the life that I was living before I even had that idea that I wanted to do that thing. Do you think that works? Or do you think I would have to put a plan in place and be like, okay, this is the life I'm trying to manifest. So what do other people who have the life I'm trying to manifest, not seeing what other people have and be like, ooh, I'm having that. I come to the decision first, and then you look outward and you look at the other people for inspiration. And you're like, what did they do? What's their routine like? Do they read books? Do they meditate? Do they live a certain lifestyle? Do they invest? Do they, prioritize being really creative? Like, what do they do that I can kind of emulate to bring me closer to that? How can I shift my energy to match what I'm manifesting? So then you shift your energy. So then maybe you do work a little harder, You do realize, okay, if I'm trying to have this life that I'm trying to manifest, I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z, because they're symbiotic. I don't even know if I'm using the word symbiotic in the right context, but you can't have one without the other. And people are like, oh, she didn't manifest it, she just worked hard for it. And some people think that using, oh my God, I manifested this life, it disregards all the hard work that you did. But in reality, they happen in tandem. They happen at the same time. You manifest and you work. And those two things, Jim Carrey did not write himself a check for, what was it, 4.4 million or something for acting services rendered, and then not go to any castings and not try to be an actor. Do you know what I mean? He worked hard to try and be an actor, but he also manifested it, because two things can be true at once. And there can be more things that can be true. Do you know what I mean? But just because someone says they manifested their life, they're not saying they didn't work for it, and they're not saying they didn't work hard for it. And just because someone said they worked hard doesn't mean that they didn't manifest it as well. So just because someone said they worked hard does not mean that they did not create that reality, because it's all the same thing. If your brain can think of something that you would want, that means if you're going for a walk and you get an inspired thought, that's what I like to call them. And if you get an inspired thought of a certain life you want to live or something you want to do, that is the universe whispering to you, being like, bestie, there's this thing that you could do that you're already doing in a different timeline. If you want to pull it in, it'll be really easy if you put some time and effort into it, because it already exists. Do you know what I mean? And that's the key to manifesting. All of these little things I've said today are what manifesting is really about. And the final thing I'm going to say on manifesting is the word confidence. If you know me, confidence is my favorite word, my favorite term, and my favorite life skill that I think everyone should have, because it is a life skill at the end of the day. Confidence is the biggest skill. Confidence will get you further in this life than hard work and knowledge ever will. Knowledge and experience come second to confidence, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you could be the most intelligent person with the most experience, but if you do not have the self-confidence to apply for the job, you're not going to get it. If you do not have the self-confidence to put yourself out there in a situation where you have the knowledge and you have an experience to do that, you're not going to get it. There are people out there living the life you want to live with less knowledge and less experience. Why? Because they had the confidence to believe in themselves. And this is the thing that a lot of people won't tell you about manifesting, because it doesn't help them sell what they're selling to you, if you know what I mean. If you do not have confidence, a certain level of confidence, you cannot manifest anything. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, bestie, I wasn't born with confidence. How the hell? What do you mean? So just because I'm not confident now I can't manifest? So now I can't do two things? No. Confidence is a skill. It is a muscle that anyone can learn. Anyone can learn to be confident, and anyone who is confident can get a knockback so far that they lose all that. Confidence is a levels. There are different levels to confidence. It is a scale. It is not a 0 or 100 situation. You can teach yourself how to be confident. You can use your muscle. Confidence is a muscle, and the more you use your confidence muscle, the more it will grow. Okay? So if you are not confident in yourself and your life and what you can achieve, you shouldn't try to manifest anything. Why? Because you have to work on your confidence first, and then you can manifest, because you're wasting your time. If you're sitting on your bed and you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your abilities and you don't believe that you can achieve, and you lack confidence and you're insecure, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these things, because we all experience them. We're all human. We are all human. Do you know what I mean? We all experience apprehension and questioning yourself and not believing, but the difference is you have to do something with that then. You can't just be like, oh, I wish I was confident, and leave it. You have to be like, okay, how am I gonna attack this? Because I have one timeline right now. I have this current timeline. I'm not on any other timeline right now. Right now I am existing on this timeline. So how do I get the confidence going? How do I do it? And you research. Google is free. My biggest thing to everyone is Google is free. Search engines are free. TikTok is free. There are so many people giving so much free advice out there on how to be confident, on how to grow your confidence, XYZ, yada, yada, yada. I have a confidence guide. It is €11.11. thehotgirlguide.com. I not only have lovely merch, I have a confidence guide. It is 11.11. It's in ebook and audiobook. It has 100% 5-star reviews. And I'm not trying to, you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. You can search confidence on YouTube. You can search confidence on TikTok. I have a podcast on confidence. I'm going to be doing an updated version. There is so much free information out there. But a lot of time with free information, we don't value it. So we don't do it. Whereas if you pay for something, you're like, I have to listen to that book because I paid for it. You can go for a walk. It's less than an hour long and you can listen to it. So get your confidence sorted and then try with the manifesting. I also have a manifesting guide. I know this is not a sales pitch. I'm just saying, I have to say it. I have to say it. How can I not say it? Do you know what I mean? How can I not tell you? How can I rob you of that valuable information? Anyways. I think these are very important points that aren't mentioned often enough, of all the nuance that goes into manifesting. And you could have a journal full of every single thing you're manifesting, but if you're holding on being like, this hasn't happened and that hasn't happened and I must be manifesting wrong, or I'm not good at manifesting, or I need to learn a new method, you go with whatever method you are drawn to. whether that's writing stuff on a piece of paper and burning it, whether that's meditating and visualizing your life, whether that's doing a vision board, whether that's journaling, whether that's, the 369 method. There are so many methods, and it doesn't matter what method you do once you believe in the method that you're doing. People are trying to sell all these methods and you're manifesting wrong. You're not manifesting wrong. There is no wrong way to manifest. The only thing that you have to do is make sure your self-belief is in check and your confidence is in check, and that you really trust in the universe, and you really trust in the timelines, and you really believe that whatever it is, and start small, right? I was at home last Saturday and I was like, oh my God, I would love a scone. I would die for a scone right now. I would love a scone. And my mom was in town and I was like, will I ring her and ask her to get a scone for me? I was like, no, maybe she's busy. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, can you get a scone? And then she has to drive something. So I was like, I'll leave it off. I don't need a scone that badly, but I would love one. The woman arrived home with a scone. I know, she arrived home with a scone. It was amazing. Start small with little things that you believe that you can get. Do you know, like a glass of white wine, a scone. I want to manifest, a yellow car passing me, or just something, just little random things, and build up the muscle. Because if you don't believe in it, how's it going to happen? How's it going to happen really? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, happy 11/11. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I hope you got value from it, and I hope you enjoyed watching. If you're watching on YouTube, do not forget to thumbs up, comment and subscribe, because all of those little things really, really help. Share it with a friend. If you know your bestie is trying to manifest, share this podcast with her. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to leave a review. I'm not delusional enough to think that everyone's obsessed with me, because they're not. Do you know what I mean? I'm not obsessed with everyone, so why would, do you know what I mean? So if you didn't like this podcast and you're still listening, you have a lot more willpower than I do. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, share, and I will see you next week, besties. I'll actually see you. I will see you. You will hear me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, you can go onto thehotgirlguide.com and you can get yourself a manifesting guide, and you can get yourself a confidence guide, or you can get yourself merch, or you can get it for a friend. Do you know? Okay, I will see you next week. Goodbye.